You are listening to the Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast with Nick Shabrinsky, a transparent, honest, and encouraging podcast to equip you through real life experiences.
Hey guys, thanks for jumping on this Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast with me, Nick Shabrinsky. If you're enjoying these podcasts, please do your best to like, follow, share, let someone know about it. The more people listening, the more impact we can have on the world. I really appreciate you being a part of the team making that happen. And thank you also to all of those who are actually supporting financially on the Spotify app. You guys are just true champions. I appreciate you so much. Today I wanted to talk on just some emotional intelligence thoughts. I got a lot of stuff pinging through my brain. I'm actually in a makeshift recording session right here. I'm not in my normal recording studio, so please forgive me if you hear any awkward noises or it just sounds a little different, but it's been a while since I've been able to record because of not having the space and the time to do it, and I figured I would just leap in and try to make it happen. But I was just thinking a lot about how many people I talk to and how many people I'm constantly around trying to help them navigate through two of the things that seem to be the biggest, I almost want to say gods of our society, anxiety and depression. These things have, these two words, they didn't even seem to exist when I was a child and even in the society we were in, but it seems more and more and more every discussion we are having gravitates around depression and anxiety. And in no way is this to downplay anybody's emotions. In no way is this a podcast to smack you in the face and make you feel bad if you are one of those people who deal with depression or anxiety on a regular basis. In fact, I do want to be honest and really just before I even dive in on some thoughts of it, just let you know that my whole life I have navigated the emotions of depression, social anxiety, and so it's not that it didn't exist since I was a child. You just didn't hear about it as much. Now we can say that, well, we didn't hear about it because people just didn't know how to talk about it. But I honestly believe that the more we talk about stuff, the more we magnify it, the more we really birth it into our society. For instance, if somebody goes, yeah, I have anxiety, I have depression, my life has been hard, all of a sudden that becomes the narrative, and then everybody's looking into their life, and now everybody's going, yeah, my life has been hard too. I should have anxiety, I should have depression, or, wow, I feel this way. And when somebody feels overwhelmed walking in a room, that doesn't necessarily mean they have social anxiety. They might have had a moment, but now sadly, when you experience it and you start talking about it and everybody else seems to do it, now it just seems to be something we're adopting. And I find it safe to say that we are adopting a lot of these things. I am a Christian. I'm a Bible believing, walking with God kind of faith person. And the Bible is very clear. It says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities, rulers of the air, spirits of the air. And I believe that what happens is when we keep opening up doors to different things, we allow them, we adopt them, we bring them into our lives. And that's why all of a sudden, every time there's a narrative in the air, every time there's something that is being pushed, an agenda, every time there's something over the news consistently, something over the TV consistently, the whole world seems to fall into play. It's, hey, this is the popular style right now. Okay, everybody wants that style. This is the popular person. Everybody loves that person. Hey, we don't like this person anymore. That's what the news says. Okay, now everybody hates that person. We think that we're very unique and independent. We think that we are very just very present with our own selves, but most of the time we are being influenced in different ways, and we are walking that path. And sadly, we can look at it from every day and age. This is not a new thing. This is consistent. They did a study one time. It was, there's a video, I think it is on YouTube or something, but they did a study, and they had a person in a waiting room, and they were set there, and they were told to to stand up at certain points every time they heard a bell, and then to sit back down. Well, then they send somebody who's not a part of the scheme, and they're just an ordinary person. They go into the room, and when that person begins to stand up at every bell ring, you can see the civilian of it looking at them kind of awkward. Well, after a few minutes and a few bell rings and a few stands up, all of a sudden the person in the room who has no idea what's going on begins to stand up. They did this by filling the room up one by one with ordinary people who were not a part of or aware of the study, and slowly and surely every single person began to fall into place. It's just the way it is. It's called conformity. Nobody likes it. You have punk rockers who think they're so punk rock and they're not like the system and they're not like the world, but then they only hang out with punk rockers. They all look like punk rockers. You have goths who want to be one way. You have it just goes as far as every single group of people. I don't care how you try to break it apart. We conform. And the Bible says so clearly, do not be conformed. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, the renewing of the way you think. And so the Bible points us to, hey, you need to be spiritually, mentally, emotionally intelligent. You have to be intentional. And so when you're thinking about emotional intelligence, what I really want you to think about, and you can write this down, you can put it somewhere, whatever, but don't just think emotional intelligence. Think about emotional intentionality. Think about spiritual intentionality. What am I listening to? What am I watching? What's my goal? What's my agenda? Most people's goals, especially when you think of the younger years. Now, most people 20 and up, especially 40 and up, would not say that this is a goal for them. But when you think of teenagers, you automatically know, wow, one of their goals is to be accepted. And I would find it safe to say they've done studies on the security of humanity. And one of those is we all want to find acceptance. Everybody deserves to find a place to feel accepted, to feel like they belong. And that's why a lot of people compromise the integrity of their belief system. They compromise the integrity of their moral system because they want to find acceptance. I watched it happen my whole life. I've seen it in ministry. I've seen it as a non-Christian. I've seen it in my teen years. And I'm sure that I am guilty of doing things to dive into acceptance. The Bible says, be careful of the company you keep because bad company can corrupt a good moral behavior. But emotional intelligence is very, very, or intentionality, or however you want to call it, refers to the ability of recognizing, understanding, and managing, think about that, recognizing my mind, my intelligence, my emotions, my spirit, my walk, my atmosphere, understanding, managing, and effectively using your own emotions in a healthy way, as well as being able to recognize, understand, manage, and effectively navigate other people's emotions. I think a lot of times we think emotional intelligence, I've talked to people like, oh, I got good emotional intelligence, and they're socially unaware. They don't understand social intelligence. They don't understand spiritual intelligence. So here are 5 components of a study of emotional intelligence, and they break it down. This is important for you to think about. 5 components of emotional intelligence. Today we're going to call it emotional intentionality. So 5 components: self-awareness. Are you aware? Are you even aware of how you act? Are you aware of the way? I mean, I live in Pittsburgh. I cannot tell you how many people seem unaware. They are unkind. I've been around people that don't smile. I've been in customer service where it's like my wife and I walked into a restaurant to grab a seat, and I was just blown away at the hostess. She looked at us and literally said, is there something I can help you with? We're like, well, yeah, we want to sit down. You're the hostess. We came to grab a seat. But she was so stank faced. She had that stank voice. She had that stank look on her grill. And my wife and I, we left there laughing. We're like, food was great. Server was great. Hostess sucked. But because they were unaware. So self-awareness. Are you aware of the way you talk, the way you sound, the way you look? Are you aware of the way you make people feel? So this is a component of emotional intelligence, and to develop emotional intelligence, we have to be emotionally intentional. And I know this This may frustrate a lot of people in some of the things I'm saying, but I'm just telling you, we have to be honest. We are in this vacuum to become like the world. And in Christianity, what's so amazing is Jesus gives us a way out of that. People are like, oh, I'm now happy. Well, why aren't you happy? Well, because the world doesn't want us to be happy. Oh, well, we're blame shifting, we're finger pointing. And so let's look at these 5 components. Self-awareness. Jesus looks at these guys, these religious guys. He goes, hey, man, you guys are whitewashed tombs. You think you got it going on, bro. You look good on the outside, but inside you're dead. How about this one? Self-regulation. This is important. This is where the Apostle Paul, he says, man, I beat my body into submission. So when I preach to others, I'm not disqualified. I'm regulating myself. Hey, guys, I'm not going to have another drink. Hey, guys, I'm not going to drink another Pepsi. Hey, guys, I'm not going to eat another hamburger right now. Hey, guys, I'm not going to eat that ice cream. I'm not going to flip out. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to put boundaries. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to have routines. I'm going to regulate myself. This is how we create emotional intelligence. And we have a lot of people that we go, hey, we want to help them get out of depression. We want to help them deal with anxiety, but they're not aware of their own self and they're not regulating. How about this? One of the 5 components, motivation. So people go, they want change, but they're not aware. They're not regulating. They don't have any motivation. And here's another one, empathy and social skills. So the 5 components are self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, the ability to feel what other people are feeling, the ability to see what somebody's going through and to be present with it. I remember I had a friend who walked into my room one time and he saw a picture. He was in my living room. He saw a picture of me when I was younger. And the picture just made whether I had a big forehead growing up or not, I don't know. I never thought I did until I went bald, LOL, smiley face, winky wink. And so he was in my living room and he goes, oh, wow, I didn't know you always had a big forehead. I thought it was just because you went bald. And I was like laughing my butt off because I'm thinking, this dude has no clue how he just made me feel that he would say something like that. And my wife was in the room and we just laughed it off, but it was a lack of empathy. It was a lack of awareness. It was a lack of social skills. And these components, they contribute to our emotional intelligence. We can't just bypass them. We can't just be like, oh, I'm going to be emotionally healthy, but I'm not going to have regulation on what I watch. I'm not going to have regulation on what I eat. I remember I had someone I dearly loved, and they just constantly were angry and short-tempered. And one day they went to the doctor for something, and when they came back, they said, wow, the doctor said I had high blood pressure, I had this, I had that, and there was regulations that needed to be put in place. And all of a sudden, when they started regulating their body, their attitude, everything about them began to change. And they're like, wow, I had no realization that what I was eating and what I was doing was actually changing and affecting my behavior. And so we got to be really careful. We live in a society now that's telling people, hey, it doesn't matter if you're overweight or not. It doesn't matter if you're too skinny or not. Now, remember, we're talking about health. So there are physical, God created us as physical beings. And now we have people that are depressed, but we're physically unhealthy. We have people injecting their bodies on a daily basis without any long-term testing or understanding of what these injections are doing to our bodies with implants and Botox and plastic surgery like crazy. And why is this such a big deal to even think about? Well, you have to understand that the conformity is becoming so much more impactful as social media grows. It's one more app, one more social media avenue. We went from MySpace to all of a sudden MySpace and Facebook. Then we went from MySpace and Facebook to MySpace, Facebook, and YouTube starts blowing up. Then we got Twitter in the mix. Okay, well now we got Instagram. Then TikTok shows up. Then you got Snapchat, and now you got what's the new one? Threads. And it's one by Visco. You got one by one by one, and you got to stay up on the beat. You got to look your best. You got to look great. You got to be beautiful. Girls, you got to stay sexy. You got to be desirable. Men, you got to look masculine, look like you're balling. You got the ladies on your arm. You got the money stacks in your pocket. And this is crazy because what's happening is we are creating a false image, and then we are on the other side of that trying to conform to people's false images. Social media creates a false image. You're giving you the best, most polished versions of somebody's life that most of them rarely actually live in. And then on the other side, we get all the way back to that social intelligence and that emotional intentionality and that conformity that I don't care who you are, everybody's experiencing it somehow. And now we're going, hey, I don't have any clue on how to be this, but all these other people are that. And so now I got to become that. And now you're trying to become something that they aren't even themselves. And so you think about how desperately Jesus was trying to teach us when he said, listen, guys, be in the world, but don't worry about being of it. Hey, whatever. If you want a mohawk, wear a mohawk, but don't worry about if everybody else got mohawks. Hey, man, if you're going bald, be bald. Hey, if you're tall, be tall. If you're skinny, be skinny. If you're overweight, be overweight. But whatever you're doing, do it for the Lord. So get in shape, get healthy, be happy with who you are. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Let's look at some of just the negative impacts of social media. Let's talk about that unrealistic image that we're presented. And then conformity says you have to be that. You have to be that. And how can you be that if the person who's acting like they're that isn't even that? Now everybody's trying to be something they can't even be. Comparison, envy, constant exposure to curated versions of other people's lives, cyberbullying, harassment, fear of missing out. Everyone's like FOMO, fear of missing out. These are big deals, man. And we got these distorted perceptions focusing on moments and things that don't even exist. They're not even real. And now we're trying to be that. We're trying to become that. And how do you become something? And here's what I love. Jesus said, man, whatever I have done, I'm giving you the power to be that. I'm giving you my spirit. Well, how do you become like someone? You got to adopt their spirit. How do you become like something? You got to adopt their spirit. Now we go back to the beginning of what I said. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We wrestle against spirits. And you got the news, you got the media, you got politics. All of a sudden, people are hating each other instead of loving each other over this spirit that they adopt. And Satan is out there. I believe in a devil, and I believe he is out there just playing the freaking fiddle, and we're dancing to it. But I love that Jesus gives us this opportunity. He says, look, man, I don't like the way this direction this world is going. I never intended for it to be this way. It's not the will of God that any would perish, but that everybody would come to everlasting life. And we're sitting here and we're trying to fix it, depression, by giving us more stuff or giving us more medication or giving us more opportunities. We're trying to fix anxiety we're not fixing anxiety. We're going further and further and further from community. And really, when they've done studies on healing and emotional intelligence, it comes from community. It comes from involvement. It comes from having purpose. And we're doing the exact opposite. We're leaving communities. Schools are falling apart. Communities are being ripped to shreds. Businesses are shutting down. And then we're jumping into the mix and just everybody's hiding. And so this is why Jesus and Christianity, one more reason why it just points so divinely to the truth and to wholeness and to the effectiveness of society and eternity. Jesus says, man, I've come that you would have life and life abundantly. My prayer is that you would be united with each other. My prayer is that you would fulfill the Father's purpose. My prayer is that you wouldn't become like this world, but you'd be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And listen, I'm just telling you, wherever you are, if you're dealing with social anxiety, depression, fear, anger, resentment, bitterness, shame, Jesus deals with all that. I promise you, I experience it. This is in no way saying it's not real. I walk through it, coming through 3 dads, a broken home, stuff I grew up in, experiencing poverty. I grew up, the shortest guy, the least popular guy. So I had social anxiety. I walked into a room and I knew I'm not the guy anybody wants to see. I'm not the guy anybody wants to talk to. I dealt with that, but I had to overcome that because I know God's purpose for my life. And so today I just want to encourage you, listen to that emotional intelligence, dive into it, study it, become emotionally intentional, spiritually intentional, physically intentional. Wherever you are, don't stay there. Don't let your excuse, don't let your symptoms, don't let your diagnoses keep you from your purpose and potential. That being said, I hope this encourages you. If I upset you, I apologize, but it is what it is. I want you to step further and deeper and higher than you've ever gone. That being said, thank you for jumping in on this Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast with me, Nick Shabrinsky. I love y'all. Thank you so much. If you're enjoying, please like, follow, share, help somebody get out of where they are and get to where they need to be by sharing this podcast with them. Talk to you guys later.
You are listening to the Life, Hope, and Leadership podcast with Nick Shabrinsky, a transparent, honest, and encouraging podcast to equip you through real life experiences.